What's up and welcome back to another live stream with Gizmo Slip Tech. Today we're talking about benchmarking the Strix G18. We're not just talking about it, we're going to actually do it. We've got a bunch of games loaded up. I've got over 10 games loaded up. I don't know if we'll get to all 10 of them today. Probably. I'm actually hoping to benchmark in total like 50 games, maybe. We'll see. We're going to do the most demanding, most popular titles starting out today. I already did Cinebench R23 and Time Spy yesterday. So if you want to see those ones, you'll need to go back to my live stream. You'll need to either go back to my live stream from yesterday, or you can go to the cut down version. That's a main video on my channel. That's basically the unboxing live stream for the Strix G18. So without further ado, it's gonna be freaking awesome to see the performance of the Strix G18 RTX 4080. I'm really excited about this. This machine has basically blown my mind in terms of performance, especially when you turn on frame generation. And I want to really pay close attention to the frame generation technology that we're going to be seeing in some of today's games. Because the gains are like a plus 50% to the frame rate. And if the actual quality of the image that you're getting with frame generation is good, then why would you ever play with it off? That's the thing. Except, I think the one exception is that it increases latency. So for first-person shooters, you may not want to use frame generation. I think that's the main thing. Or like anything that requires quick reaction time. What's up, everyone? I see everyone hopping into the stream. Okay, so before we get into benchmarking, I just want to go over some of the main changes and updates to the sheet. So we had the Alienware M18 go up for sale today for the first time on Dell's website. So let me just find that listing. I think it's at the bottom right now because we haven't added the stats, the ratings for that. But there is a link to buying it down here. And I ordered one today. It's got an i9 13900HX. You can get it with a 4080. It's got very similar specs to this machine, except the display is definitely lower quality. You get more RAM on this one, though. 32 gigs instead of only 16. The display is lower refresh rate, and I believe going to be a lower brightness display as well. But this is going to be very interesting to check out. So this is coming in middle of March, so it's got a pretty big delay on that. All right. So let's see here. There was a few stock changes. I think the Strix G18 actually was in stock, but it's like this reseller that is, how you say, they are upcharging it, I believe, for adding extra specs to it. Yeah, so I'm not saying anyone should buy this because, yeah, it's a 4 terabyte SSD and 64 gigs of RAM. So if you want a RAM upgrade and an SSD upgrade, this one's going to be almost a little over $1,000, $1,080 more. And this is from HID Evolution. So they are a reputable reseller, but yeah, so they have a few different options on how you can configure this. Yeah, it's $550 more if you go with them. And Windows 11. Okay, so if you go all of these things down to the most basic, it's $400 more from HID Evolution, though that one is sold out. I don't know. I would say wait for it to come back in stock rather than paying $500 extra for no reason. Basically, I mean, they're not scalping it, but it's pretty similar. I mean, they do check over the laptop and try to make sure it doesn't have any problems. I don't know. It does feel a bit fishy to me that they're marking it up so much. Bad on HID Evolution, in my opinion. And I wish they would not do that. At least they would. If they're going to mark it up, I could understand maybe $50 markup, maybe $100 markup. But to try to go 500 over that's not good. That's my take on it. Anyway, there was a few other machines that came in and out of stock. I think the Razer Blade. If you want to check out all of the updates, you can hit the follow button on the sheet, and that will give you the updates whenever I update the sheet. I made a community post about it that has all of the updates. So you can see right here, the M16 is back in stock at Best Buy. The electronics is in stock. Added some alternative links for the Blade 16 and 18. And some of these might change whether some of the laptops are in stock or not. So anyway, updates, I'll put them on the community tab sometimes, but I'm going to definitely put all the updates over here. If you hit the follow button, you just have to put your email and password in, and then you've got an account. And it'll give you email updates whenever the list is ready for an update. So, all right. Here we go. Let's get the benchmarks rolling. All right. So, first thing I got to do is get the camera set up in the right spot. I've already installed all of the games, so we don't have to do any installations. And I've tried opening almost all of them. Might be a couple of the games that will need to be go through an update process when you first start it, but I don't think there's many at all. All right, can we see the whole display? Pretty dang close. Gonna back it up just a hair more. All right, beautiful. All right, so we're gonna start with a couple of staples that we've always been doing benchmarks with, and we're gonna be able to easily compare the RTX 3080 that I've tested previously with the RTX 4080. So it's gonna be a little bit more of an apples to apples comparison, kind of. I mean, it's gonna be basically the best laptop from 2 years ago versus the second best laptop this year in terms of raw specs, performance. And let me pull up chat, make sure I'm not missing anything. No chat reading. No, I've been reading the chat. Andre says, hey, I want to buy a Razer 16. Which one should I buy? A 4070 with LED screen or regular 4080? So the 4070 version of the Razer 16 is not up for sale yet. It will be cheaper, and it'll probably be a better bang for the buck, probably, with a 4070. We'll have to see. Okay, so here we are in Red Dead Redemption. Turning up the sound. Our display here. Let's go over all of the performance settings. So we're going to be testing it in QHD Plus, which is 2560 by 1600. I think, if we're going to actually compare it against the 3080, we'll have to test it at not QHD Plus, just at 1440p. And I'm going to also turn the brightness of this down a little bit, because and I think I'm also going to turn the LED wall off behind me. That way the colors on the display are better. I could turn my TV or projector off as well. Or I could just tilt this down maybe. Let me try tilting it down first. I mean, that is pretty good. Certainly a lot better than it was. Okay, very nice. We're going to go with that. All right. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 RTX 4070. I don't know what your question is. Are you asking what FPS you can get? I'm not sure. All right. We want VSync off. Full screen, QHD Plus. I want to do 1440p for our first benchmark, so we have something to compare against RTX 3080. We get a direct apples to apples comparison that way. And I want to make sure that I'm setting this up exactly the same. So I'm going to pull up the live benchmark here. And I just want to make sure that I'm benchmarking this exactly the same as I did
What's up?
in previous versions. Let's see here. Port Royale, Time Spy. Red Dead Redemption. Perfect. Because if you just change a handful of settings, you can dramatically affect performance. And I want to make sure that it's as similar as possible. So actually, I can do this in this window so you guys can see what I'm doing as well at the same time. Okay, so this right here, what we're looking at, I guess you guys can't see the video. Maybe you can't. I don't know if it's working right now or not. We need to go back a little bit more. There it is. Okay. Okay, so we had VSync off, triple buffering on. Resolution should be QHD. We had triple buffering off. I need to not use the mouse wheel. VSync off, triple buffering. And everything is set to ultra. And we also bring this. We're also going to bring this slider up all the way to the right for maximum possible settings. All right, so that's what we're doing. As far as I can tell, this is the best way to do this. We're going to apply the changes. We're going to say yes. So we're at 1440p, so 16:9 aspect ratio. So we have an apples to apples comparison with the previous generation. Let's go ahead and run this guy, and we'll see what we get. I am super excited to see what we're going to get here. Hellskin. Okay. Gotta press OK. DDR4 RAM, right? No, it's DDR5, 4800. Try water physics on max. That's super heavy on the GPU. I'm just trying to do it exactly the same as we did in the previous versions of this test. So the previous version of this test, Red Dead Redemption, Scar 15 got 81 FPS. That's at 1080p. Let's see here. Do I have a QA? Do I have it? So at 10. That's at 1080p. I want to make sure. Do we have a QHD version? Okay. Well, if we're going to do a parity test, then we need to do it at 1080p. I know that's not what this display resolution actually is, but I'm going to go ahead and stop the benchmark for right now. And we're going to go back into settings. And we're going to set it to 1080p so we have something to compare with. That's the goal of this initial test, and then we'll do it at the proper resolution for this display. Can it do this? It can. Okay, cool. Very nice. All right, let's go ahead and give this. Let's give this a run. Let's give it a run. Give it a whirl. Dorothy says, "I'm so upset. I drive a semi truck and the wind is so bad I can't drive. Meaning I can't get home to pick up the new G18. Oh, that sucks. Did you get one in the mail? Congrats, man." Is $2,500 starting price of G18 going to stay the same for the next months, or is it going to be $3,000-ish? Jafar, I think it's going to be $2,500, unless they're constantly sold out nonstop, which they probably will be for a while. But there's going to be basically going to be scalpers looking to scalp it up to $3,000 probably. I think so. Guala Guala asks, why did you leave your main channel where you can make a lot of money? That's a good question. There's a complex answer to that question that I'm still figuring out. But at its core is I'm very passionate about gaming laptops. I've always been passionate about gaming laptops. And I like making content that's helpful to people. So I enjoy helping people. And that's one of the biggest reasons why I switched over to focusing on the tech channel. Okay, so immediately I hear a bit of a coil whine before the fans spin up loud enough to cover the sound of the coil whine. So we're hitting 100 FPS so far. Averaging about 100 FPS, which is almost double the RTX 3080 at the exact same resolution and settings. That's pretty good. Pretty good starting here. Dorothy says, I'm still waiting on my SCAR 16 to ship. 18 is too big for me to carry through airports every day. See, that's just a mental limitation, man. You gotta get in the gym, get some workouts in so you can lift your 18-inch laptop around. Is this with DLSS? No. What is coil whine? Coil whine is like a sound that electronic diodes make. And I don't know if diodes is the right term, but once electricity starts going through them, sometimes they vibrate and can make a sound. And normally I can't hear it if the laptop's fans are running, but when a laptop's fans have not spun up very much, you can sometimes hear that coil whine coming in. So HMS Racing says, I want to know what's the difference between this one and the Strix G18. I think I'll buy the Alienware M18 4080. Which one do you think is the quietest one? We don't know which one's the quietest one yet. The M18 might be fairly quiet. It has 4 fans, but if they have good coverage and can move air efficiently, they might be quiet. But I think the Strix G18 and SCAR 18 are both going to have some coil whine based on the reviews I've seen so far. And the fan noise on them is going to be basically however you tune it. Because if you tune it to maximum fans, it's going to be fairly loud fan noise. If you tune it to medium fans that are not too bad, you're going to get some pretty dang great overall performance for minimal fan noise. You can configure it that way, but it all depends on how you configure it. The problem is, if you go low on the fan noise with the Strix and the SCAR, you're going to get that coil, the coil noise happening, which can be, I wish there wasn't, How is the laptop to touch? Does it get really hot? No. This is a plastic chassis, and we'll see after we do some more extended benchmarks, but this is pretty much like about as cool a chassis as you're going to get for extended gaming sessions from like you're touching the keyboard around the machine. Someone says DLSS off. As far as I know, Red Dead Redemption doesn't have DLSS support, so it's not an issue. If they added it, then we should make sure it's off, but I don't believe it's on. I don't know. Maybe they've updated it, but as far as I can tell, it's not on. Maybe there is DLSS support on here. We'll need to double check. It may have been added, because I'm seeing... Oh, this could also just because it's 1080p too. Shaboom! So overall for the test, we've been averaging 134 FPS approximately. But we're gonna use the number that Red Dead Redemption gives us here, and it's like once we get going down the street here, I believe we end this test. It's a little bit early before, like right here. That's the way I always end it. So minimum FPS was all the way down to 12. Maximum was 156. Average was 120. All right. So This is 1080p resolution. It's going to be the smallest amount of gains versus the previous generation because it's a lower resolution. You end up being CPU bottlenecks, and the GPU just can't get as many legs under it to run. So let's now try it at the full 1440p resolution. Or sorry, 1600p, which is QHD plus. And let's also I want to just scroll through these settings and make sure there's no DLSS feature. Because sometimes games have been adding DLSS. There is DLSS feature functionality, but it was off. Okay? So there was no DLSS in that last one, and no AMD FSR either. That's cool that they added DLSS coverage, though. I'm glad they did. I personally think DLSS is a great overall deal, especially if you're doing QHD or 4K gaming. And the biggest thing about it is if you run it on quality settings, it still looks really, really good in almost every game I've tried it in. Not every game is good though. So still no 4070 versions out. Feels like we're waiting forever. Yeah, the 4070 versions of 4070, 4060, and 4050 laptops will release February 22nd. So I've seen a few of the listings online, and I have a bunch of prices I've found on those 4050, 4060, and 4070 laptops. They're on the gaming laptop list sheet, but just know that we're going to get more and more pricing, and I think one of the most promising cheaper laptops is a $1,000 Acer Nitro 5 4050. That machine might be really promising, bang for the buck. Okay. Dorothy says, I have to say, I found you when you went live yesterday. I'm really enjoying your videos. If I can't play with my new laptop, at least I can watch someone else do it. That's true, man. Thanks. I'm sorry you can't play with your own laptop, though. All right. What's the best time to buy an RTX 4000 series laptop? Like 2 years after they release, when it all goes on sale. That's the best time to buy it. or you buy it right away at full price, or you wait for the 40 Ti series to come out, like the 4090 Ti versions, and then the regular 4090 will be discounted. You either buy it right away at full price, or you buy it later at a discount. And the same thing's true for the 3000 series. You either bought it a year or two ago, or you buy it now at a discount. And you always got to try to balance bang for the buck versus performance. And with the new DLSS support and frame generation support on the RTX 4000 series, I think that frame generation technology is probably going to be heavily supported in almost all games going forward. All new games going forward, and it's going to be added to a bunch of previous games. So I think RTX 4000 series may be worth the upgrade over the 3000 series, and we're going to maybe see some insane deals on the RTX 3000 series in the next few months, especially if they stop selling and all the RTX 4000 series are like selling out. There's going to be like no buying pressure on the RTX 3000 series, and the prices of those machines are just going to go whoop. So I think we're going to see RTX 3060 laptops with like 144 hertz screens for probably like $800. So that's probably going to be the best bang for the buck machine that you're going to be able to buy. And then once all those sell out, there's only going to be 4050 and maybe 3050 Ti's available. And then it's going to be like $1,000, $1,100, or you buy used. Is your version 32 or 16 gig of RAM? It's 16 with 2 8 gig slots. And they are user upgradable. That coil whine is noisy. Yeah, the coil whine, it's one of the loudest coil whines I've ever heard in a laptop. Frame generation is great for single player games. Yeah, that's the key. Frame generation is great for single player games. Not great for like competitive shooters. And one other thing I want to mention is that this is an RTX 4080 laptop. Don't expect desktop performance out of it. Okay, I've mentioned it a bunch of times in the past, but it's a lower wattage. It's not the same CUDA core counts from a 4080. An RTX 4090 is actually the same CUDA core count as a desktop 4080. So where the actual laptop 4080 is significantly reduced compared to the desktop 4080. So just a reminder and clarification. I always like to make sure people know what they're buying. It's not like this is anything new. This is the way it was for RTX 3000, 3080, and 3080 Ti. So it wasn't that way for a couple generations. It was nice when it matched up, but the desktop cards have just gotten more and more powerful, where the laptops just can't keep those high CUDA core counts cooled enough. So, Lucas Latini, would you buy an OLED laptop? Yes, I would. I would love to have a 240 hertz OLED display. I think it's really, really great. I wish there would be more options this year for OLED 240 hertz QHD. Okay, so let's see what we got. 97 FPS on average at 1600p for our Red Dead Redemption. That's very, very good. I know that I did a QHD test on this. I'm just trying to figure out. Let me see if I can find it. So QHD, which is 16 by 9, I got 63 FPS on Red Dead Redemption with an RTX 3080. And this is at a higher resolution. So this is a 34 FPS uplift, which is more than a 50% gain, and it's actually slightly higher resolution. So that's a big upgrade. I can't wait to try out the 4090 laptop GPUs. Oh, by the way, I got my Alienware M16 in the mail, which I will try to do a live unboxing of that tomorrow. So, or potentially finish up this benchmarking. We'll either do one or the other, depending on how we do. So I didn't get Tomb Raider installed. We've got Cyberpunk 2077. Let's give that a go. Let me go back to the chat. W, give the $5 super chat. Thanks so much. Also, Britt Allen, I know you donated $5 on the last stream. I saw it when I was rewatching the stream and editing it. Thank you so much for the $5. I don't know how I missed your donation in the middle of the stream. I think we got distracted with Jared showing up. OLED manufacturing isn't as profitable. Well, that may be why. I don't know. I don't know the display behind the background there. Maybe you work in that sector. You have more information than I do on that. It's time for some Cyberpunk. Let's go. Woo! Please try to see if Rocket League will launch. My G18 with 4080 won't launch, but we'll play everything else perfectly. Interesting. I don't have Rocket League. Is it? It's not free to play now, right? You have to pay for it. Okay, so we are going to do my standardized Cyberpunk benchmark. It's a cutscene, so it's exactly the same as previous benchmarks of the Cyberpunk 2077. And again, I'm going to pull up my SCAR. Let me see what my performance was on my SCAR in Cyberpunk. QHD got 49 FPS. Whew. Full HD got 65. Yo. Flatstick Productions with the $2 super chat. Thank you so much for the support. Hear back from Asus about the 5600 megahertz RAM support. Sasha said that it currently is not supported out of the box, but they're looking into adding options into the BIOS for user upgradability to switch the RAM speed. It sounds like the hardware is compatible, but not the software currently, basically is what he made it sound like. Okay, so we need to check our settings. So let's go to full screen. Graphics. Right now we're on Ray Tracing Ultra, which is fine. But we want to make sure the big thing is frame generation. So frame generation is currently off, and DLSS is on quality now. All right. So we're going to start with this test. I'm going to go to 1440p, so it's the exact same resolution as the Scar, because that was a 16:9 aspect ratio display. So I want to make sure that we have everything set correctly. Cyberpunk was updated, so I should probably just redo this with QHD Plus on the Legion Pro 7 if we want to have an apples to apples comparison. I doubt it's going to be very accurate, but let's just go ahead and run this. Wait, there's a run benchmark now for Cyberpunk. Let's try that out, because there didn't used to be a benchmark. Ooh, okay. I have my 5600 megahertz RAM sitting here waiting on laptop tomorrow. Hopefully I can get 5600 to work. Oh, if you can't, you'll be returning it? Dang. Well, that'll motivate Asus to fix it, maybe. All right, so taking a look at our performance here, we're getting 160 watts through the GPU, which is really good. Very high GPU utilization, so we're not getting CPU bottlenecked. Looks like we're in the introductory bar for the game. I kind of want to do that other benchmark my standard benchmark, just so I can do that cross comparison, but yeah, Cyberpunk got 49 with these similar settings on the other benchmark. I love how Cyberpunk looks. It's such a cool looking game. It's a really fun game too. I actually went back and beat Cyberpunk about 6 months ago. I went through, finished the storyline all the way to the end. I didn't do all the side quests yet, so there's still more I can do. But it looks like our average FPS was 66. I can't see the minimum. I think it's 23. Let me move. Let me move this a little bit. Yeah, 23.1 for our min. Our max was 116. So 66 is our average with DLSS enabled on quality with no frame generation. And this is at 1440p. What do you guys think? It's obviously good performance. I'm really glad they added a standardized benchmark now, because it was kind of a pain in the butt to have to load back to my save every time to do the same sequence over and over again. All right, so let's just go ahead and do QHD. We're going to turn on frame generation this time. We're going to do quality for DLSS. And we're not going to change anything else. Everything else is going to be on maximum ultra settings, basically. It's interesting, it tried to change DLSS back again. All right, here's frame generation at 16:10 QHD. Frame generation was not on, and we got 66. So with frame generation, let's see what we get. I just bought a Legion 5i 2700H 3070 for around 1200 USD. That's a pretty good deal. Okay, so taking a look at our performance now, getting about 90 FPS. So we did get 66 before. Now we're getting about 90-ish. So once again, frame generation giving us almost a 50% boost to performance. Pretty insane. Isn't that insane? And I'm just looking here. I'm trying to see if I notice any like stuttering or warping of the items. I don't think so. We've had like a little stutter there. But that, I mean, I don't think the average user is going to be able to tell that frame generation is even on. Okay, so we got an average of 102 at a higher resolution. Let's try. Flat Stick says on tree leaves, but you have to be looking for it. Yeah, maybe. The more minor, the smaller the details, I bet you the more you're going to notice frame generation. All right, so now that we are in QHD+, I'm going to run this again. And just without frame generation, so we get a more precise comparison number, like an exact side-by-side number. Do you think the Lenovo 16 Legion Pro will have the same performance? I think it'll be very, very similar. Not necessarily identical, but very, very within like 5 to 10%, generally speaking. If it's the same specs on the inside, at least. All right, so this is now without frame generation. In this section, we were averaging 90. Now we're doing 58. Are we with our ray tracing? Yes, this is with ray tracing. Gato Killer, try Minecraft with ray tracing. I'm going to try so many games with the Strix G18. My goal is to do like 50 games, not all in this live stream. We're probably going to do about 10 games today. But I'm going to keep doing more and more games. I'm not going to do all 50 games with all the laptops this year, but I just want to do like all 50 games with at least one RTX 4080 and at least one RTX 4090. And then again with the 4070 and 4060 and 4050 laptops. So it's going to be like so many benchmarks, but it's going to be worth it because then way more people will be able to see maybe what game they love is, how it's going to perform. So. Okay, so we ended up with 62 at the higher resolution. So that docked us about 4 frames. So we went from 62 to, 102 on our FPS. That's a 40 FPS gain or about a 60-something% increase with frame generation. Craziness. Absolutely crazy. All right. Let's do a 1080p test. And then we'll call it good for Cyberpunk. So 1080p. Not that anyone's actually going to use this. And checking back on here, did I change? Oh, dang! With the RTX, with the RTX 3080, where it got 49 FPS at QHD, that was with DLSS on balance, not quality. On quality, it got 42 FPS. Dang. Okay, that's an even bigger jump than I had realized. Hireshi says, love your stuff, bro. Thanks, man. I appreciate the comment. You're still playing with this thing? Oh yeah, man. We're getting got to do lots and lots of benchmarks. Lots of people want to know how it's going to perform in the long haul. I'm going to buy a Flow X16 this year, but it seems like a 4060 is only available in my country, so meh. Yeah, as long as you have the XG Mobile, the Flow X16, and the internal GPU does not matter as much, right? I don't know if you're actually going to be going for that or not, but... I have no idea what to do with my Omen 16 11800H 3070. Yeah, man, you should try to sell it. You're probably going to be able to get, 800, 900, something there in that range. Okay, so we got to move our text again so we can see the result. We got 83 FPS at 1080p on quality. DLSS, no frame generation. Wow. So in my Scar 15 got 65. So less gains, but it's also, it's a very different game now than it used to be. So I would need to retest for the best, most accurate comparison. Yeah, the temperatures on this have been really good, except for the CPU. I would say except for the CPU temps has been spiking every now and then. Okay, shall we do Port Royale? I think we're going to do Port Royale next. I haven't installed it, but it's really quick to download. I own a company that does 3D renders and web development. Nice. Yep, that's a company like that's definitely going to benefit from these new laptops, I think. Flat6 says they have not been doing so hot in benchmarks. Standard underperforming CPU. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the CPU is going to underperform, but perform much better than previous Blade notebooks and probably perform well enough for its size. But I'm mainly curious about the GPU. That's my biggest question. Is the GPU actually going to go to 175 watts with the Blade 16 and the Blade 18? Because that's what Razer was advertising it. And if it's not going that high, and it's confirmed to not go that high, then I've got beef with Razer because they should not be advertising it as 175. Is undervolt good for a CPU, or should I buy a cooling pad? So undervolting essentially means that you're going to be running the CPU at a more efficient level. Now, the reason why the manufacturer doesn't automatically undervolt everything is pretty simple. It's each CPU has a certain silicon lottery, basically, and most CPUs, or basically they've said all CPUs need to be run at this level, this high of a level, in order to be stable. And so they have to give it that much voltage. But a good chunk of the CPUs can actually function even more efficiently at a slightly lower voltage, but not all of them. So that's where you can undervolt your CPU as low as it can realistically go, and therefore you're going to increase your power efficiency. So it basically reduces heat while at the same time potentially increasing performance. And so it's not bad for your CPU, but if you go too low, or if your CPU is just not undervolt friendly, it may cause bugs and hitches and errors to be thrown in the CPU because it's not getting enough voltage. So you don't want to go too low that you're starting to get errors, but you just want to find that sweet spot where you're getting the maximum level of performance and temps without any problems or issues. The Blade 18 hits mostly 165 watt and momentarily 170 watt. Interesting. Well, my Blade 18 still hasn't shipped, but it should ship soon. So, but at least I've got a couple laptops in to make videos on already. So, the Blade 18 is made out of metal, and the Strix G18 is made out of plastic. Yeah, and on top of that, the Blade 18 is also much smaller. We're getting some errors in our data up here. I'm seeing 173 watts in case you can't read that. 172, 175, 173, 172. 100% GPU utilization. And the GPU is only hitting 80 degrees. Again, we're in turbofan mode right now because that's what Asus says is like the highest performance mode. But we're definitely going to be getting higher temperatures than we normally would if we were in manual fan mode with max fans, which is how I typically test games. So, Talon says, my Strix G18 is finally on the move from UPS, arriving tomorrow. Congrats, dude. That's awesome. Will you try the XMG ones with the water cooler? Yes. That is in the works to do. I've got the XMG Neo 17 actually in a box like 5 feet away from me. But it's a pre-production unit, so it's not going to be as, how you say, I can't do full and final testing on it yet, basically. But they basically gave me clearance that I can do testing on it, but only with the liquid cooler attached. So I'm planning on doing a live stream of that laptop as well soon. Probably sometime within the next few days. You know, for sure sometime in the next 2 weeks. No updates yet on your Scar 16. Nope, I have not heard anything on the Scar 16. So there's our Port Royale score of 11,595. I can't remember how good that is off the top of my head, but there it is. I'm sure it's good. I want to stop this from syncing. All right. Beautiful. All right, so we'll do CSGO next. What is the CPU in this? The CPU is an i9-13980HX, which is the best CPU basically you can buy. And the performance in this machine is absolutely insane. We've got a MUX switch with Advanced Optimus, so we're getting maximum throughput in a game like this. We're going to do full screen, 16 by 10, that's fine. I believe I just hit everything to high, which maxes out everything. And now we're going to go to play. We're going to go to workshop, benchmark. Here we go. Can I test Total War Warhammer 3? I don't own that game. We're not going to be testing it in this stream, but I am trying to benchmark a ton of games, and that might be one I can add, maybe. The main thing is I need to have a high-demand game, so I want to test as many high-demand games as I possibly can. So Counter-Strike is one of those games that does not let you see an overlay in it. So that's right. We have to go to, hold on. We need to update. We need to add our console here. Is it under game? Developer console, yes. Tilde. Net graph 3. Okay, so I'm gonna go. Can I restart this? Yeah, we're gonna restart it. So in the bottom right down here, I don't know if you can see this. Let me make sure the stream can see this. Yeah, so you can see it in the bottom right down here is the FPS. In the bottom right next to my cam. All right, so right now we're getting like 500 FPS. Dips up to 600. That's pretty insane levels of FPS. I honestly thought it would be closer to 600, 700 based on some of the benchmarks I saw. We are at QHD resolution. Maybe some of the benchmarks I saw were only 1080. What are the graphics settings? The graphics settings are maximum on high with 8x anti-aliasing, and we're dipping down to 70, 80, 90, 100. That's the way smokes work in this game. It's crazy. So we're doing about 300, 400 FPS now. This makes me want to just double check that our mux switch is in the right place, because I want to make sure that the results are correct. We are in QHD resolution, so. But we haven't really broken above 600 FPS consistently, basically at all in this test. Maybe it's because of the slower 4800 megahertz RAM. But for this CPU, I was anticipating more like 600, 700 FPS. I think 500 FPS is enough. Yeah, it kind of is. So our frame rate was 450.02. So 450.02. Let's just, I mean, I think we are in the right mode. But I want to make sure that we're in the right mode. Other benchmarks were made with low settings. Yeah, we are in NVIDIA GPU mode. Okay, so let's run this one more time at 1080p resolution. We're just going to go straight to 1080p. If we can. There we go. Okay. All right, let's see what we get now at 1080. We're hitting 900. 800. We're bouncing between 7 and 800 FPS now. I think it was probably not getting this high FPS because we were at QHD. So we're 16 by 9 right now. We're at 16 by 9 aspect ratio, 1080p. And that also is probably going to help boost our FPS. But now we're down to 400, in the 400 to 500 range. So now we're in the 600s again. 700s. Ooh, interesting. 7 to 800s right here in this corner. We're into 300, 200, 150, 140. 140 was the low that time. That's going to be a lot smoother. Down to 140 during the smoke again. Now we're in the 700s. 700s again, 800s. Okay, so I think our average is probably going to be like 600 to 700 on this test. We're in the 800s to 900s, 600s, 500s, 400s. Dang, that is That's crazy. Okay, so we got 635 on CSGO. Tis crazy. All right. Apex Legends? All right. We're going to do Apex Legends, and my new test is going to be while I'm doing the shooting test. It looks like there was a driver update from NVIDIA there that wants... I should go ahead and do that real quick. I did a driver update yesterday, so I didn't think there would be another one. Well. It was... I didn't get to read it. I'm not sure what it said now. It's trying to drive me crazy. Let's just verify that our drivers are up to date. Okay, our drivers are up to date. Why did it say... I wonder what it was wanting. At least it's showing up to date. It's just checking for updates right now. I mean... Did you enjoy Hogwarts? Dude, Hogwarts is such a fun game. I really have enjoyed playing Hogwarts. As far as I can tell, I mean, it just says it's checking for updates, but it says it's up to date. I don't know. Okay. Let's go Apex Legends again. The reason Asus is using 4800 is because they use crappy Samsung DDR5. So the reason Asus is using 4800 is because they didn't see enough performance difference to justify jumping up to higher, faster RAM. So it's supposed to be very negligible performance increases, which is probably true, except maybe in certain games like CSGO, maybe. All right, so we're going to video, full screen, QHD. We're going to go, well, out of the box, it looks like we're on max settings. That's fine. We're going to just stick to max settings for right now, and then we'll switch to low settings, and we'll see how we do. What do you think of the 3070 Ti $1,300 to $1,400 deal we are seeing after using these higher-end 4000 series laptops? I think... Why am I with someone? I should not be in the... The game paired me up with someone. I can't do a graphical test if it pairs me with somebody. Okay, so 3070 at $1,300, $1,400. I mean,
dude, how did I get in the game with you guys?
these guys are just confused as I am. Okay, so maybe you can't get into the firing range by yourself anymore. Okay. All right, so this is going to be where we're going to do these tests now. Here we go. Oh my gosh, these settings are so wonky. My DPI is not set correctly. We're getting 170. I'm just going to do the best I can for right now. Sorry, I can't read chat. Well, I'm not really trying that hard. I'm like telling my brain, don't memorize this muscle training right now. It's not good muscle training. Okay. So we ended up with 175 during this test. Let's go to here. And we're going to go ahead and disable, reduce the settings down to low now. And we're getting 240 nonstop. So we're going to need to exit the game. And we need to change this. I believe that's the correct command, FPS max _ max. We gotta raise the maximum FPS so that we can test it at a higher FPS. Plus FPS _ max. So not a minus, but a plus. Okay. Let's see if that's correct now. I don't think we're going to be doing more than 500, so... Do any of these laptops let you change RAM frequency and timings in the BIOS? XMG is supposed to let people do that. MSI might as well, depending on the laptop. The higher end performance MSIs probably will let you do it. Wow. The textures look terrible right now because we're on low settings. Okay, so we're at the maximum FPS of 300 now. All right, here we go. We're starting the test again. I think we're just going to be at 300. Wow. I hope Apex Legends changes it. Yeah, we're just going to be maxing this out at 300, so there's not really any point to continuing this test. That's crazy. We'll hop into one match. None of these bindings are correct for me, so it's all going to be wonky as I play this, but it's okay. Mitchell. Yeah, the GT77 Titan is going to be one of the top performers this year. It's going to be absolutely insane. So reminder, guys, anyone that's watching this, if you like gaming laptops, you like benchmarks, you like being able to shop around and compare different laptop to laptop, be sure to subscribe so you get reminded of when I go live and when I post new videos. And I also recommend doing notifications if you can, especially if you want to catch my live streams. Any recommendations on a 3060 laptop in the $900 to $800 range? I'd probably recommend, I believe I'd recommend like Acer Predator Helios, or maybe like a Legion 5 Pro. Those would probably be some of my top recommendations. Or just a Legion 5, depending on what you can get. And the trick is we don't really know what the RTX 4050 performance is going to be like exactly. And it may be a much better idea to just get an RTX 4050 coming up, because it might be a lot more future-proof. But we need to test that. So if you're shopping right around the $1,000 range, I would at least wait until February 22nd. We should have benchmarks and more knowledge about where what the pricing is going to be like. Whee! Okay, so we're hitting almost the 300 FPS max. People landed right there. Averaging 227 FPS so far. My controls are not the same. I don't expect controls to be... I just want auto sprint enabled. I want to pick that up. Yee-hee. Wow, we're averaging 267 FPS so far. I mean, you're going to... This is at QHD. I'm going to go ahead and just throw all the settings up to max. All right, now let's see. We're going to go ahead and redo it. I don't even know if the FPS is going to drop that much. Whee! Woo! So 208 FPS with maximum settings. Pretty dang good. We're hitting 240 pretty regularly too. All right, I want to change another setting. Sprint. Okay. All right, so at least my settings now are closer to what I want, to what I use regularly. Let me try using the full sound. I think I saw an enemy over there. We're getting shot.
Giving my shields a recharge. Frag out.
Whee! We did the murder. 2-on-1. Oh, that was the kill leader.
Leader can stop Pathfinder. I am repairing myself.
New enemies coming in. The GPU is pretty hot.
Recharge shields. Here I go.
Oh, they got me good. Okay. Serious question. Why do we need 300 FPS in esports titles? Aren't the servers at a tick rate of 30 to 60? It's mainly about your click to pixel and moving the mouse response rate so you can react to enemy players as quickly and responsively as possible. Really impressed with Apex Legends performance. Temperatures are pretty high, but that's kind of to be expected when we're just doing turbo mode. Temperatures will be a lot lower if we were in manual mode. So, okay, let's hop into control. CPU and GPU finally met each other in the pipes. Yeah. This is true. CPU is not 3%. The CPU is like, it's showing the wrong thing there. Let me check Afterburner. It's good thing for pointing that out. We need to modify the settings. I don't know. It's not. It's not showing it correctly. I don't know why. I'm trying CPU Core 1. See the percentage of that one. All right. For this one, we're just going to run. We're going to 1600p. We're going to do high settings. Global refractions high. Film grain, motion blur. Ray tracing, we're going to set to high. Let's go. Chupa chupa choosh. We're gonna have to beat some people up. Yeah. Wait for the 4060, 4070 laptops to buy a discounted 3070 Ti right now. Maybe it depends on the deal you find, Jason. Maybe it'll be a really good deal now. You just got to evaluate the deals as they come.
Okay, now I have a gun.
Let me turn the sound down a little bit. So we're averaging 98 FPS right now. With everything on Ultra, QHD, ray tracing on ultra, on the highest setting at least. Yeah, melee is pretty OP. Can I take his automatic weapon? I don't know for sure how high quality the performance here is, but it's obviously performing really, really well. I don't have any good comparison, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Things have quieted down outside.
This is, I think, the area that I used to play in.
You can't let this happen. You can't let this happen.
I wish I could be on the other side. So our FPS dropped noticeably in the real world environment here. Oh, that was some pretty sweet graphics, I'm not gonna lie. All right, so I'm gonna restart this benchmark because it's so different in this environment. Getting 60 FPS approximately, 61 now. AMD FSR. I don't think we have any FSR enabled, but maybe let's see. We do not have DLSS enabled yet. I don't. Does this even have FSR? Let's throw DLSS on. It's basically on DLSS quality mode.
Okay.
And let's see what our FPS is now. We were basically getting 60. And now we're jumping right up to 110. What are these people in the air for? What in the world? And I want that gun. Some really cool graphics and control. I need to actually play the game all the way through. So where am I supposed to go now? Alright, so we'll play for another minute and then we'll switch to the next game. This is trippy freaking graphics. What happens if I shoot him? Nothing, huh? Gizmo, any thoughts on FSR 3.0? I don't have any thoughts for you right now. Though I'm hoping AMD continues improving it. Do you think the 4060 laptops will equal a 3070 or 3070 Ti in games? Based on the Ada architecture and performance improvements we've seen on the 4080 and 4090, it's going to be hard to predict how good the 4050, 4060, and 4070 laptops are going to be. I think they're going to be very good. That's my initial thought right now. Okay, that's good enough for control. Let's go ahead and switch to the next game. I want to try a new game, Dead Space. So Dead Space is a remake of the old game. It's got all new graphics, and it's got a very demanding workload for the new GPUs, including the old GPUs too. Like an RTX 3000 series might not be able to run this at max settings at QHD plus resolution, at least not very well. Probably have to tone the settings down a bit to be able to run this smoothly. I'm curious how this does. If it can get above 60, above 100, whatever it gets at max settings QHD plus. Let's find out. Okay, so just so you guys can see the settings. I already set this, I believe, to... So we have everything on ultra, highest settings, and DLSS is on quality. That's what we're going to start with. As far as I know, there's no frame generation in this game. And you can see we're set to 240 hertz, 16 by 10 QHD plus. Let's start this game. I have not played this game at all yet, so I'm curious how it is. How's the keyboard temperature? The keyboard is feeling nice and cool. Nice and cool after all these games still.
I think it's me. I wish I could talk to you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about everything. I just wish I could talk to someone. It's all falling apart here. I can't believe what's happening. Strange. Such a little thing.
Can you guys hear this okay? All right, I'm gonna put them.
Yeah.
I'm putting the mic next to the speakers. And I'm also going to change out. There. Because we had an extra column
It's
there.
not. You still got that thing on repeat. Guess you really miss her.
Fishermer is not a job you turn down, but 6 months apart with only vid calls.
I really want to add the CPU TDP being pulled in. Let me see if I can add that real quick. Motion blur, yuck. Yeah. That's too funny. Can you do some machine learning benchmarks some other time? Maybe if there's enough demand for them, I can do machine learning benchmarks. Basically, if there's a demand for the benchmark, I'm not against potentially running it. All right, so what do we want to pull? We want to pull... We want to pull our package power. CPU package power is what we want. Show value. And I also want to have it show our core temp and our total usage and core. We'll do P-Core 1. Should we do P-Core 1 effective clock? We'll just do core effective clock and see how that does. Let's see. What's our OSD look like now? Okay, I'm going to take off CPU from Afterburner now that we got the extra line. Okay, so this line here is going to be our CPU line.
It's rough. Easy to say the
Looks
wrong
like our
thing.
clock speed's not the right clock
I don't
speed
blame
though.
you. I'd listen to my girlfriend.
Let's change that. I think something like P-Core clock 1 is probably the one we want. What did I end up turning on? Turn off effective clock. There we go. Now we have our megahertz, our temperatures
Deciding security protocols.
for our total.
Forewarned is
Oh wait, our
forearmed,
total
dude.
package power is not being
So
shown.
you
We're getting closer and closer to getting our CPU numbers to be correct on the overlay. We have the right clock speed. CPU package power, there we go. Okay, there we go.
Here we go. Nice clean re-entry.
So I put the microphone down next to the CPU, so it's down next to the speakers right now.
Imagine 6 months staring at that chunk of rock.
An independent miner. That's
I have reset the average.
He
Let's
just
see what we
suffers
get.
one of the richest finds in CEC history. Some prospecting team set up for life. Where is she?
85 FPS right now.
Confirming visual contact with USG Ishimura.
I'd say the decibels and the fans are around 52 to 53.
Biggest planet cracker in her class, you know. And it looks like they already popped the cork.
Why is it so dark?
You guys will hear the fans a lot more than me now because you're down next to the fans as well as the speakers.
I'll get us into hailing range. Someone's got to be waiting up for us.
Just be careful on the approach. I'm not taking any chances with the CEC's pride and joy.
No chances, huh? Is that why you were digging into my personnel files before we left?
You track your file access?
I'm a computer analyst. Comes with the job.
I ran standard CEC background checks, Miss Daniels. If you want to work in the big leagues, you have to play ball.
Sir, we're in hailing range. USG Ishimura, this is the emergency maintenance team of the USG Kelly, responding to your distress call. Come in, Ishimura. Ishimura, do you copy? Come in. This is the USG Kelly.
So I'm looking at our temperatures right now. We're hitting 80 degrees on the GPU,
No.
74 degrees on the CPU,
Someone picked up the damn
55 watts to the CPU.
What the hell is that?
Sounds like their communication array is busted.
I need to play this game for a few hours and get a good idea of the best spot to do these benchmarks.
48 hours, max.
It's all maxed out right now except DLSS is on quality settings.
Yeah.
QHD plus.
Jen, Johnson, take
Does
us
this
in.
have a display port for VR? No, it does not, but it has USB-C, which you can use as an adapter. I've done it before. So use like a USB-C to like HDMI or USB-C to display port. Sorry, I'm gonna turn down the sound a little bit so it's a little easier to talk to you guys. Do I have the Final Fantasy XII remake? I don't. Is that a great one to benchmark? Uh-oh. We put our crash shield up. That's not good. Too bad I can't save that. What's up, Brian? It has a USB-C display port. It does. It also has Thunderbolt 4. So, and one of those does connect directly to the NVIDIA GPU. HMS says, thank you for your detailed review and quick, detailed responses to everything. You're the best reviewer on YouTube. I really appreciate the kind comments, sir. I try my best. I don't think I'm the best reviewer on YouTube, but I try my best. Is the GPU temperature normal? So the GPU temperature right now, we're in turbo mode, not maximum fans. So right now the GPU temp's 79. CPU temp is 74. Those are fantastic temperatures for a laptop gaming. And we were using 99, 98% of the GPU right now. So we're not being CPU bottlenecked at all, which is great. And I will try switching over and slapping on max fans just so we can see what kind of temperature difference we're going to get in this game. All right. Maximum fans is enabled. Let's give it a couple minutes to dissipate any heat, and we'll see how we're doing here in a minute. These graphics look awesome. What am I supposed to do now? Am I supposed to go over here? Ah, there we go. Why are they not having their helmet on? They're crazy. Can I save the game yet? I feel like this might be a pretty good area to do a benchmark, walking down this hallway. It's a pretty big open area. Part of the game, we have multiple characters on the screen. So right now we're getting 110. Interesting, the CPU power jumped up. Whoa, we're pulling 260 watts through the CPU and GPU combined load right now. That's the highest I've ever seen in a gaming laptop, right? That's as much as the GT77. Unless I'm misreading things here. I don't think I am. But in manual mode, maybe this is just a temporary boost to the CPU. We got to let it see if it settles down. But it's supposed to only go to 65 watts here, and we're going up to 100. Our temperature is also staying reasonable at 81, despite the ramp up here. It's because we went to manual fan mode. Holy crap. That is insane. Like, that is GT77 Titan level combined 250 watt TDP levels. That is awesome. Liquid metal is a no-no for you. Did you have a problem with the liquid metal laptop before, Sergey? Almost all of the top laptops these days are coming with liquid metal, so. Everyone without a helmet dies. That's the rule in Dead Space. Yeah, I'd believe that. I kind of don't want to go into this. This is a good place to do this benchmark. Just walk. All right, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to walk from here down to the ship. This will be our benchmark for this mode. We're getting 97 FPS, pulling 255 watts. Notice that the GPU right now is pulling less wattage, okay, in manual mode. So that's a downside in a non-CPU bound game, because you might get actually less performance doing manual mode. Because in turbo mode, we're probably going to boost more to the GPU and less to the CPU. But still, for CPU bound games, being able to push this much wattage to the CPU is fan-freaking-tastic. That's really impressive. All right, so we got 100 FPS with 51 FPS as our minimum. Let's go back to our settings. These poor people are trying to just survive in space, and we're doing a benchmark. They're like, get back here! We need to go! Am I not allowed to change? There it is. Okay. So FSR 2.0 here. DLSS, and then just anti-aliasing. So let's try that. We should get significantly less FPS now. Brax says, I'd much rather these manufacturers install proper barriers for us to do it ourselves. Asus is notorious for their terrible applications. Always have to fix it myself. Yeah, most users can't do it themselves. That's the trick, though. Right? So this takes a long time to walk back and forth through this. All right, so we're going to stop at this little piece of thing on the ground. We're going to walk backwards this way. So no DLSS, just raw rasterization FPS. 65 frames per second, 32 for our low. This is in manual mode. Combined wattage right now we're doing 65, 75, and 160. So enabling DLSS made the CPU pull quite a bit more watts, is what I'm noticing. Turning off DLSS lowered the CPU load, which is, I think, pretty normal. So how is the Wi-Fi on this laptop? I've had no problems with the Wi-Fi. Downloaded like 15 games at very high speeds on my gigabit internet. So we got 6833 with Dead Space, with a 4080 QHD plus. That's really impressive. Braxtech says, fair. It's brutal to clean up originally to do it right, like Legion Sense PTM 7950. It's always amazing for the typical. It's already amazing for the typical user. It still has nickel plating for liquid metal on CPU die, no galvanization. Interesting. Harambe says, what are you eyeing right now as your definitive 4000 series laptop to keep? I'm eyeing the Blade 18 and the GE78 and the Scar 16. Maybe the Scar 18, but probably not. I really want a full-size SD card reader this time because I'm wanting to upgrade my videos to true 4K recording, capturing, editing. And in order to do that, I really need a full-size SD card reader to transfer the huge video files. Because my Legion didn't have one, so I transfer the files with a USB-C cable. And that is only like 40 megabits a second, which is just not fast enough to do like 30 gigs of video file quickly. So it takes like an hour or a half hour, you know? So right now, yeah, the Blade 18 should have the fastest SD card reader. The GE78, I'm not sure yet on the SD card reader speed. Let's drop it down to 1080p, no DLSS, and then we'll switch to a new game. So 1080p, 16 by 9. Whoop. It needed me to confirm the resolution. Apply. There we go. Okay, so once again, we're just doing anti-aliasing, TAA, anti-aliasing, no DLSS. (101 FPS). Interesting, we had a little stutter there. I'm gonna just back it up and restart it because, you know, we just loaded into this region. Maybe the stutter's not typical. I don't want it to affect 1% lows. All right, let's see what we get now. Can I ask why we never see bank making in performance mode for DLSS, especially when playing on 4K or 1600p? The visual fidelity at those resolutions is very hard to discern the difference. So I personally try to benchmark all of my gaming laptops, how users are actually going to use them. So if the game has good DLSS implementation, then I'm going to try to test my games with DLSS enabled typically. But a lot of benchmarks want to try to capture the raw rasterization performance, and DLSS influences the results. That's why they don't want to do that. So at 1080p, we got 104.56. So very high FPS if you're using an RTX 4080 at 1080p in this game. But otherwise you're gonna probably want to use QHD with DLSS on quality settings, is my guess. Coil whine is 100% unit variance. It's hard to say. That is correct, unless for some reason all of those units are doing it. And so far, almost every review I've read on the Strix G18 and Scar 18 has had coil whine. So let's do Elden Ring. It's not the last game. Next game is Elden Ring. Masa says, can I expect every new gaming laptop with 4080 and 4090 to have coil whine? No, that's the question. And no, I wouldn't expect that to be the case. Coil whine is going to vary more from motherboard to motherboard, I believe. But a lot of laptops with the same motherboard design is going to have coil whine as well. So what creates coil whine again? It's the electricity going through the vibration. It's going through the motherboard's electronic systems, and it causes vibrations. And those vibrations create sound. There's like little coils in like the VRMs and other parts of the board. Okay, so we got to do a new game. I did already go through and set the FPS to be, or I did already go through and set the FPS. Or sorry, I did set the display settings already to QHD. I believe 16 by 10, full resolution and ultra settings, but we'll verify it when we get into the game here. Where do I type the name in? Oh, right here. Is this display better than the Legion 5 Pro 2022? Oh yeah. This display is a lot better, not just because of the brightness bracks, but also because it's a higher color gamut. The color gamut is massively better. This has the 100% P3 color gamut, and the colors just pop so well on this display. Like, it looks just gorgeous. Wow, look at our GPU temperature at 44 degrees right now. I mean, we're not pulling any wattage through it, but just... Okay, so we're skipping this. We have a 60 FPS cap right now. I don't know why. Let's see if we can change that. I don't want there to be a 60 FPS cap. In chat, does anyone in chat know how to remove the 60 FPS cap? Is it always capped to 60? There's got to be some methodology for going above 60. I'm looking it up. Okay. There's a mod that can remove the FPS limit. It also lets people increase or decrease the FOV. So here is supposedly an easy way to do it. Let me look it up here. Okay, so you have to download the mod from GitHub. We're not going to do that today. I will try to do this in the future. That sucks. Why would they... That is such a dumb move from the developers, right? Why would you ever limit a PC game to 60 FPS? Yeah, there was nothing in the GPU settings. Will I play GTA 5 on it? Yeah, I would. That might be a good game for me to benchmark, I think. I don't smell anything. Vicky says you can unlock it from the NVIDIA control panel in 3D settings. Let me check, Vicky. I have my doubts that you can, but I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt until we check it out. Elden Ring. Max frame rate on 1000 FPS. Apply. Ooh, let's try it out. Did we fix it? Let's find out. Okay, music says, which 4090 laptop is the quietest so far? I would say all of them can be quiet. You just have to tune the fan curve to be on the lower, like, quieter side, but you're going to likely increase temperatures and potentially reduce performance. The key is trying to find the sweet spot between reasonable temperatures and great performance. Looks like we're still hitting 60 FPS, at least in the menu, but let's load into the game and just make sure it's the same. I'm guessing we have to use the mod. Brax Tech says, it's engine bound, pretty sure. Yeah, we still got 60, so that didn't work. So we'll have to... I'll have to get the mod together, because I really want to bench Elden Ring. Almost no one's benching Elden Ring because of this issue, I imagine. Kind of a pain in the butt to benchmark it. Is there a microphone next to the vents? Yeah, the vents are pretty close, only about 10 inches away from the microphone. And I have the fans on max fans right now. All right. Let's do God of War. This is an amazing game. If you've not played God of War, it's absolutely an incredible visual experience, storytelling experience. The gameplay is, I think, super fun. The combat system is really fun. It reminds me a lot of like Black Desert Online action combat RPG game. All right. Sorry, I had to change the battery in the camera. I mean, just look at these graphics. They're just... It's so good. The hair, the beard, the expressions, the facial expressions are some of the best in any game that I have ever seen. And this thing came out in 2018. So basically, he had a son with a, I believe, a human, a non-deity entity, and he's a god in like the mythology, like the old Nordic mythology. I believe that maybe she is a godly heritage too, but either way, he's an outlaw from the godhood culture because of some things that happened in the previous games. And so his son is basically just starting to get used to being around his dad. Like they don't have a very good father-son bond at the beginning of the game. They're just starting to... He's basically trying to show the boy how to be a man, and the boy is trying to desperately impress the father, and it's really cute father-son relationship. And it develops really well throughout the whole story as the boy like learns his powers and gets his abilities and gets stronger. And then as you play the game, you can actually shoot arrows and everything as the boy too. So, so can I save yet? I can save. So I'm not sure if I'll use this as the benchmark, but you're pretty often going through water areas. I kind of want to use like some kind of cinematic as the benchmark. I don't think there's an official benchmark. So you can see our settings right now where everything's on ultra, maxed out on our settings. For display, we're in 16:10 borderless with DLSS enabled with quality. DLSS right here is on quality right here. So honestly, I can't tell that DLSS is on. It's like a really good implementation. Like, only on maybe like the very edges of stuff or on the leaves maybe, but even then it's barely noticeable. Vicky, we're gonna do both. We're gonna do DLSS and RAW for people so they can see both. But I'll just leave it on DLSS for right now until we get to wherever we're gonna benchmark. We're gonna get into the game a little bit further. I want to get to a more consistent environment. Maybe I can like walk or go down a certain area back and forth. Or a save where I can do like a cinematic sequence. Vicky likes it raw. Oh god. We're not gonna go there. Jeez. Felix, you baited me into that one. Okay, sorry. Let me make sure I answered any questions. Brack says, was debating a Legion 7 Pro for 2400 with the 4080 and 13900 HX. What do you think from CES interaction? I think the Legion Pro 7 is going to be a fine machine. It's going to be a good machine. But there are quite a few drawbacks to the new one compared to the old one. Like it's thicker, it's heavier, the RGB is reduced. The display is not nearly as good as some of the competition either. But the price is very reasonable for what you're getting. I think it's going to be a great bang for the buck. So, could you do Final Fantasy VII and League of Legends? So I did download the installer for Valorant and League of Legends. We're not going to do that today probably, but it's one of the games on my to-do list. I'm going to try to do just like tons of games, like I said, for the Strix G18. So the boy's mother just passed away. So basically the son is now under the care of the father, I think for the first time. Before this point, the boy was only visited occasionally by the father. And so the boy is like just learning that his mother, you know, that his father, I don't know if he's just learning, but he's basically growing into becoming a god. Like he's never really hung out with the gods. He's been just hanging out with his, I think, human mother. So examining our temperatures now, we're pulling 173 watts, over 170 pretty consistently right now. Our CPU is only pulling 50 to 60 watts. We do have DLSS enabled, so it's probably pulling more CPU wattage than normal. But our CPU is only 71 degrees. Our GPU is 83 degrees. We are under max fans, though, so keep that in mind. But if we're pulling 170 here and like combining these two, we're pulling like 220, 230 wattage in this game. Is this stock GPU or OC? It's manual mode, which includes a small overclock to the GPU. Yeah, these FPS are really good. It is, of course, with DLSS on quality, though, so. It's a shame our numbers are, like, right over their faces constantly in these, in all these interactions. I think this environment out here is going to be probably pretty typically representative of a lot of the environments throughout the game. So I'll probably do the benchmark right out here, outside the cottage. Oh, I can save in the middle of these cutscenes? That might be really useful. The boy is so timid and afraid of his dad. So Steven Nashi says maybe do first Draugr fight for benchmark. The tricky part is I don't want to do a fight sequence for the benchmark because it won't be able to exactly replicate the performance every single time. So, and that's what I'm looking to do. I want to be able to replicate the performance exactly every time. So either I need to be able to walk in a straight line, or it's a cinematic like this that we're doing the benchmark with. Otherwise, you just end up with inconsistent results. So. Yeah, God of War is very GPU centric, not as CPU centric for sure. Okay, so it looks like we finished that segment. Isn't that incredible? The level of immersion from cinematic into resuming the gameplay. Like the transitions are flawless. So maybe a good benchmark would be like walking from here over all the way to the gate over there or something. Let's try it. Wonder if the boy... Maybe that's a little too short. I don't know. Does the boy come back? The boy does come back. Okay. So let's see what happens if we go through the gate and down a little bit.
What did you find?
So I think we probably ran this way all the way up to the water. And then we ran back. That should be a pretty realistic, I believe, a representation of the performance through a lot of the game. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. I'm going to save this position. All right, we're going to do our official test now. Let's see what we get for QHD, everything on Ultra, DLSS on Quality, and then we'll turn off DLSS. So we got 100 FPS and 54 FPS as our 1% low. Let's go ahead and change our settings. DLSS is now off. So again, this is our results for the last run, 154. Let's go ahead and go into our results for the next one. Wow, so DLSS on Quality didn't boost the FPS that much. We're still getting 82 without any DLSS. That's pretty good. I'm a little surprised that it's actually so, like DLSS I thought would help it more. So 83, 38. And then let's also switch this over to 1080. In order to go to 1080, it looks like we're going to need to change our resolution on our desktop, which is a bit of a bummer. I don't want to do scale. I want to do resolution. Okay, so I can't change the resolution right now. I need to exit the game. And I should be able to do resolution now. Why can't I change the resolution? Weird. Oh, okay. I need to be on this. I was on the wrong display. That's why. So we're going to go down to 1080p. And now we're going to load back in. CPU TDP is 55, right? So CPU TDP in manual mode can go all the way up to 65 watts with under a dual load. And in Dead Space, it actually went over 100. I don't know how. It's not supposed to theoretically do that, but it went to like the GPU was at 150 and the CPU was at 100. It basically does 250 watts combined TDP. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but it seems sustained. We were there for several minutes, and it didn't go away. But maybe it would, after a long enough time, it would go away. Okay, so we're in borderless now. We're going to do no DLSS. All right, and our graphics are still, everything is on ultra maxed out. Hannibal says, how do you think content on 1080p looks on that QHD Plus display? So, me looking at it right now, I would say the 1080p content looks okay, but the power that this thing has, there's basically no reason to ever do that. I don't know why I would ever play a game on full HD when you can do QHD instead. All right, so this is 1080p, everything maxed out, no DLSS. 170 watts of power, 160 to the GPU, 73 to the CPU. Again, we're pulling over 230, 240 FPS. Or sorry, total watts combined. So 1080p, we did 109 and 43. Black screen. Ah. My other camera battery. All right. So yeah, I mean, it's insane. I mean, God of War is going to play like flawlessly at QHD. Above 60 FPS at least, and that's the main thing you need for this game. You want at least 60. I would say 120 is ideal, but man, that is a great overall experience, especially if you're playing at the full resolution. And I would probably play with DLSS on quality, probably, because why not get some more FPS gain? But some of you guys I know hate DLSS, but I don't. I don't know why you guys hate it. Maybe the little artifacting that occasionally happens in some games bothers you guys too much. I would like to do Witcher 3, the new updated ray tracing. I know someone was requesting that in chat a little bit ago. Is 43 the 1% low? Yes. All Might says play Darktide. I don't have Darktide. Sorry, let me load in. Man, I need to play Witcher 3 all the way through. I've never beaten the game. It's on my to-do list before I die, for sure. You're waiting on the Scar 18 RTX 4090 to ship from Newegg? Dude, congrats. You got lucky. Yeah, I ordered this one the moment it went on sale. So let's dive into the video graphical settings. They've changed a lot. We're going to run it with RT on Ultra preset. I believe that's going to be the best way to do it. But DLSS should go to quality. At least initially here. We'll try turning it off as well to see no DLSS. I always return Hairworks off as well. Full screen, QHD+. Frame generation is on. We're going to need to make sure we turn that off for a test as well. So we need to do 3 tests, maybe 4 tests. DLSS with frame generation, max ray tracing. Then we'll do no DLSS, or sorry, then we'll do no frame generation with DLSS, and then we'll do no DLSS or frame generation. And then we'll do 1080p with no frame generation or anything. So The Witcher 3 is one of those games where you got to run around at least once to load everything in. Otherwise, the 1% loads are just atrocious all the time. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to run out here at least, and then we're going to run back in here. Sucks the mini LED is only on the Scar 16. Yeah, but I promise you, like, no, I don't want to promise you, but I don't think many people will be disappointed with this 18-inch 500 nits super bright and vibrant display. It's really an incredible display. So all right, here we are. This run is DLSS quality, frame generation enabled, ray tracing on maximum, all settings on maximum, QHD plus. Here we go. Let's see what we get for our average. Definitely getting a few stutters here and there. Whee! So we go to the surface and then we swim to the shore. So right now we're getting 93 FPS with our 1% lows going down to 24. That's just the way it is with The Witcher. 1% lows are pretty brutal. So 93.29 overall for The Witcher 3 with our first test. Now we're going to run back and do it again. What happened to all the OLED QHD 240Hz panels from last year? I don't know exactly, but I don't think they were as profitable for the manufacturers as what the mini LED displays are. I believe that's probably the reason why they switched them. I know someone earlier was mentioning that OLEDs are just not practical to make or something like that, so. Where's the Scar 16? Has it been delayed? I don't know. I haven't gotten mine, so I'll let you know if I get mine. You'll know because I'll be live streaming it. That'll be my top priority, I think, when I get that. All right, so time to change the settings. I'm also going to go ahead and save. All right, and so the main thing we need to turn off is frame generation. Frame generation disabled. So no more frame generation. Our previous was 93 FPS. Let's see what we get with no frame generation. How much does this frame generation tech boost us? We got a new benchmark running. So this is QHD Plus with DLSS on quality. Oh, I messed up the run. And I died. Good thing I saved it. I just needed to be sprinting. I forgot to sprint to make that jump. All right, so now we got to run over here a little bit. Typher Goodra asks, what is frame generation? Frame generation is NVIDIA's AI engine predicting using the motion vectors from the in-game engine and trying to basically create artificial frames between the real frames. And it can slightly delay your real frames, causing increased latency, which is not good for first-person shooters. But in general casual gaming, frame generation delay is so minimal that most people I don't think will notice the delay. I haven't really noticed the delay. And I'm usually very sensitive to that, but I'm not playing a first-person shooter either. So I might... The first game that has frame generation that's a first-person shooter, I'll have to test it. I think Cyberpunk has that, but... Anyway, so we're at QHD with DLSS, no frame generation. Let's try again. I'll try to make sure I sprint this time properly. All right, we're on our run. We're hitting 53 FPS now. We got our jump. And we got our dive. And there we go. Now we're swimming. Who else is selling this? Because out on the NVIDIA website, the only option is Best Buy, and they're sold out. As far as I know, Best Buy and Newegg are the two main options, as far as I'm aware. If you go on Newegg right now, I think they're overpriced, though. So just be aware. Don't. I'd say just wait for Best Buy to come back into stock. It'll happen eventually. And follow my laptop list sheet if you want to get updates when it comes back in stock, so you know that it's back in stock. All right, so without frame generation, we got 61. So we got about a 50% boost utilizing frame generation. Let's load back. And now we're going to do no DLSS raw performance. CPU is running very cool for 4.7 gigahertz. So just because it's over, clocking really high doesn't necessarily mean that it's being utilized that much. But I mean, it is pulling 45 watts to the CPU right now, 80 watts, 90 watts. Wow, no, 90 watts. Okay, I mean, it is pulling a lot of wattage to the CPU. So yeah, it is pretty impressively cool. It's because we're on max fans right now. That's why. All right, so we need to turn off DLSS. DLSS is off. Frame generation is off. We still have ray tracing enabled, though. Wait. Did our FPS go up? We have some other kind of scaling going on or something, because the resolution definitely went down. Dynamic resolution scaling is on. We need to turn that off. Okay. Did that dynamic resolution scaling affect our previous benchmarks? We need to make sure. Before we move on to this next benchmark, we need to make sure. So, if I click RT Ultra, and I do DLSS to quality. Okay, so with DLSS on quality, dynamic resolution scaling is grayed out. It's not a thing that can't be turned on, so that's good. All right. So we're at QHD, no DLSS, full ray tracing right now, no frame generation. Let's see what we get. Right now we're getting 38. 38.25. And Witcher does not look good unless you're getting like 45 or more, I think. You really want to get at least 45, 50 range for it to start looking really smooth and playable. I mean, we're getting 45 now. That's better. Jason says, are you still hiring for data entry position? Or so Jason, I've hired 2 people for that. Right now, the only position that I'm really looking to fill is probably a video editor that's just basic. probably like $15 an hour that can just help snip together the live streams and cut out dead space in between the tests and in between, you know, the important parts of the live stream. Okay, so no DLSS, no frame generation, ray tracing enabled, 42 FPS. All right. Let's drop it down to 1080p. Ooh. It didn't like that. Thinks it's on full screen still somehow. Yeah. All right. So in order to test that, in order to test the 1080p, we're going to need to change our native resolution back down to 1080p. AST says Alt Enter. Okay, I'll try that next time. YouTube person says, I'm going to wait for the price to drop. Already have a 12th gen 30 series laptop. Yeah, if you've got a good 30 series laptop, I mean, unless you just crave high frame rates, there's not really a compelling reason to upgrade. Unless you also want to have max settings in every possible game with high frame rates. I don't know, it's just, for me, it's just really hard to ignore getting the latest and greatest, because I'm always like, oh, I'm only getting 60 FPS in Hogwarts, and then I like see like on here with the 4080, it's getting like 150 with frame generation and DLSS on quality, and I'm like, oh, that's 3 times more. Like, I want it. So it's because I mean that 60 FPS to 150 it's a big difference in gameplay experience to me, in my opinion. So I can sell my Legion 7i. I'm not sure exactly for how much, but probably like in the $1,500 ballpark, maybe, because it's a 3080 with a top highest end processor with a lot of RAM. So we'll see. But that's I'm probably going to go Blade 18, GE78, maybe Scar 18, Scar 16. We'll see. I'm leaning towards the Blade 18 as my top pick right now. Okay, so I need to make sure my settings are all correct first. All right. So no dynamic resolution scaling. DLSS is off. And frame generation is off. Can I turn frame generation on? So that's pretty cool. You can turn frame generation on without enabling DLSS. Because some people, that might be very appealing to some people. I have no DLSS enabled, but I have frame generation on by itself. And I went from like 50s, 60s up to like 90, 100. Basically doubled the frame rate with no loss. No, at least little jaggies from the frame rates. I think the leaves right here. That's let's zoom in on that. All right, so you see those leaves? I have frame generation enabled right now. I'm going to let it go for like 15 seconds. Notice how the leaves are like swaying in the wind, what it looks like. All right. Let's turn frame generation off again. Okay, and now that's what it looks like. I don't think I can tell the difference. I don't think. Okay, so I think the I think my camera was overheating from being used as a webcam for like, what was this, 2 hours in or 3 hours in now to this live stream. So, all right, let's do our 1080p, no DLSS, no frame generation. Here we go. So 64 FPS. Again, this is with ray tracing enabled. You turn off ray tracing, the FPS is going to be like so much higher. But and I think you probably also want to turn on anti-aliasing if you turn DLSS off, because quite a few jaggies without anti-aliasing of any kind. But there you go. So right about 63, 64 FPS in The Witcher 3 at 1080p. We're going to do one more game. We're going to do Far Cry 5. This is a game that I've done a lot of testing on in the past. It's very CPU bound. So it's more of a CPU gaming test than it is a GPU focused test. Oh, wait. Did it not install? I thought I installed it. It was showing that it is installed. It's because it's streaming from the Legion 5. Okay, so we're not doing that one. We'll do Rainbow Six Siege instead. And we'll do it on Vulkan. The 40 series laptops will probably be cheaper 6 months from now. Maybe. I think some of them will be cheaper. I think there may be some that are not really any cheaper. Like the Strix G18, I don't anticipate will be coming down in 6 months. Maybe in 9 to 12 months. For sure by 12 months, because we'll have the next generation coming out. Perhaps by holiday seasons, we'll see like a $200 to $300 sale on something like the Strix G18. Would be my prediction. As long as they can get enough and put them all in stock. That's the thing. If they're not sitting there available for order all the time, and they're always sold out, there's going to be no reason for them to go on sale. But if they do sell, if they don't sell out, then and they're just sitting there, then I'm expecting sales to happen. That's when I would be like, okay, sales are probably going to happen. I'm going to need to restart this. Annabelle Henius, are you using Max Fans on all these tests? I'm using Max Fans ever since Dead Space. That's when I started using Max Fans. Vicky says, I don't think it's going to go cheaper once 40, 50, 60, and 70 comes. All will stay in line. Yeah, I think you're right. Up until maybe Christmas time, we might see a sale for like Black Friday. And then, because the thing is, by the time Black Friday is coming around, they're trying to move all of their inventory so that they can then release the 4080 Ti version of this laptop. So that's what eventually is going to put the pressure on to reduce the price of this machine. So I would probably advise, if you're going to buy something like the Strix G18, might as well just buy it right away. That'd be my advice, if you can. Because then you're going to get more use out of it. But if you wait until Black Friday, like say 9 months from now, you're basically going to then be tempted to wait until the 4080 Ti version comes out 2 months later. So, but then again, once the 4080 Ti version comes out, that'll be like basically a year from now. Then I would expect the price on this to go down $300 to $500 probably around that time. How much faster is the 4090 175 watt? It should be in the same like size quality chassis, like 15 to 20%, maybe 25% higher speed. Let me clarify that. So basically, the Scar 18, which is the better version of this machine can go up to 4090. That machine gets about 21,000 in Time Spy GPU score. This got 19,000 for Time Spy GPU score. So that's going to be basically a 15 to 25% range, depending on the game. Let me go ahead and just get the exact amount. 19,000 minus 21,000. So that's only 2,000. Okay. If it's 20, so that's only a little more than, that's only 11%. Okay, so yeah, so 10.5 to 11% improvement for the 4090 and raw graphics potential, at least in a synthetic test like Time Spy. But for example, the MSI GT77, and I know the Neo 17 both got 23,000. And if you're doing 23,000, I think it was like 300 for the GT77 minus the 19,000 of this one, then that's 4,300. So divide that by 19,000. That's 22% faster for an RTX 4090, like the top end 4090s. So it depends on which 4090 you're getting. And it depends a lot on what game you're getting. If it's CPU bound, you won't see any gain. And if it's entirely GPU bound, you should get around a 10 to 20% depending on the 4090. And depending on the 4080 too. Some 4080s are going to be a lot slower than this 4080. This is as fast as a 4080 gets, I think. Maybe the GT77 4080 could be faster than this one, actually. Maybe. And in the Neo series, because they are basically overclocking the GPU. And I think MSI and the GT77 is overclocked too, because it's going beyond what Asus is doing. We are at a black screen right now. Rainbow Six Siege is not having a good time. Might need a driver update. Looks like we had a crash. The first crash, actually. Considering this is a brand new gaming laptop, I'm kind of impressed. Evans NG asks, is this mini LED or IPS? This is, I believe, it's not a mini LED display. It's more of an IPS type display. And I don't know exactly the type. Asus doesn't really make it clear, but the Nebula displays have 500 nits brightness, 100% DCI P3 color gamut. Yeah, and so the brightness of this display is fantastic. It's going to be so much better than your average display. My mouse is not showing. Windows is bedinging at me, but I'm not getting any information to come up. BSAW, GPOC, or undervolt crash. So there is no undervolt in any of these benchmarks. I turned the undervolt off. I currently cannot access the laptop right now. So let me try doing a hard turn off here. All right. And I'm going to unplug the power adapter as well. Give it a few seconds. And we'll try turning it back on again. That was one hard crash. Yeah, it's true. How is this screen compared to a 4K OLED panel? So a 4K OLED panel, depending on which OLED panel you get, those OLED panels can go, 600 all the way up to 1600 nits brightness. So they can get way brighter than this display, but at 600 nits, OLED panel would be pretty similar to this one, but OLED's going to have better contrast ratio, better blacks, and potentially a slightly better color gamut, but this color gamut is about as good as it can possibly get. Okay, looks like we're back. Moving the mouse again. That's a good sign. All right. It was a bit weird having to do a hard reboot after a crash. So I'm going to exit some of these extra applications that are popping up. Annabelle says, I have the Asus G15 Advantage. Do you think moving from a 15.6 inch to 18-inch screen is a big screen difference? Oh, yeah. The GPU upgrade is going to be reasonable. But if you got that G15 Advantage Edition when it was on sale, that's a good deal, too. So, and as long as you're, the biggest thing, in my opinion, is can you play the games you want to play at the settings you want to play them at? If you can, then why are you upgrading? If you can't, then the question is, can you realistically afford the upgrade? That's the next question. So, and then if you can, then why not? You can upgrade if you want. Just some dude says, that happened on my MSI before the GPU disappeared from the system. Uh-oh. Vicky says, wow, that fan silence, though. Yeah, there's very loud fans right now. So let's try Watchdog Legion and see what we get. They have a nice benchmark in Watch Dogs Legion. This GPU is like 2 times faster than the 6800M. Yeah, it's faster than that if you count frame generation and DLSS. Probably more like 3 times faster in that ballpark. I have to actually do the calculating, but it would be a huge upgrade. Manifestation Jason, you got the texture pack downloaded? I don't know. I'm not sure which game you're talking about. You're talking about Rainbow Six, the one we just crashed on? It's just the stock install, as far as I know. I'm going to close Steam out for now. All right, so we're downloading a Watchdog Legion update. If the update's going to take less than... Wow, we're getting 60 megabits a second right now over gigabit. So that's only going to take a few minutes. While we're waiting for that, I'm going to go ahead and just show you guys the spreadsheet. And we're going to look at... Getting to the right one here. Boom. All right. So... Oh. I'm going to need my mic. So, the first thing you should know about this spreadsheet is that you can find all of the new RTX 4000 series laptops on it. Okay, so you can see their pricing if we know what the price is yet. We have a lot of prices on here. We don't have them all yet. And then, in addition, you can click on the expansion button if you're on desktop, or you can just click on the line itself with your finger if you're on mobile, and that'll pull up this card view. You can look at images of each laptop. You've got stats of each laptop, including the weight, the display size. The total volume is calculated by what the manufacturers have given us for the width, depth, and thickness. And then you also have the laptop rating, which is a weighted rating between thermal design, display quality, build and design quality, bang for the buck, premium features, keyboard, mouse, battery life, ports, battery size, and all of that put together. Now, I need to adjust the Strix G16 and G18 down 10 points because it doesn't have Windows Hello, so I might as well just go ahead and do that right now. Because when I put this in, I thought they had Windows Hello. But at least the one at Best Buy model does not have Windows Hello. And that's going to drop the G16 and 18 right down into second place, and the Scar 16 takes the lead, interestingly enough. So my top standout laptops, like my top 5 this year, Scar 16, Scar 18 is up there too, Strix G16 and Strix G18, the Alienware M18 and GT77. Those are like my top 5. The Legion Pro 7i is right up there at number 6. Blade 16, Blade 18 are right up there as well. I made a whole top 10 video on it. So you can check out that top 10 video on my channel. I talk about all of the top laptops and what are the strengths and weaknesses of them. We need more and more benchmarks. Like we're going to put benchmarks on this list soon. Like that's going to be one of the things we're going to start doing this week. TimeSpy, Cinebench, and key gameplay benchmarks like Watchdog Legion, Red Dead Redemption, maybe God of War. There's a handful of other games that we're going to be putting into the benchmark list, and we're going to be able to make it so that you can sort by probably at least 5 or 6 different benchmarks and search by them and compare these laptops specs. Like if you click this view, you can see all of these different laptops, and you can filter these down as well. So once you get, I'll say, a game that all the benchmarks are in there, or the TimeSpy or Cinebench scores are in here, you're going to be able to filter by price and Cinebench score, for example, so you could like get the highest performing laptop with the best Cinebench score possible. So stuff like that, or different games, like you want 3D gaming, like God of War performance, you'll be able to sort by best God of War performance for under $2,000. So that's kind of like my goal with the sheet. So it'll be very easy to find the type of laptop that you're looking for. And it's very easy to find where to buy it too, because there's going to be links right here on each of these on where you can buy it inside the United States. And we're in the process of adding international links as well for Europe, Africa, Asian markets, and all of that. So it's really cool, and I'm really impressed with Listium as a list tool. It's still a work in progress. There's still a lot of bugs with the list, but it's very workable and very usable on a desktop especially. I think mobile is where it needs the most improvement still, but it's very cool. Do you guys have any questions about the list? Let me know. Vicky says, everyone please like. 86 watching right now, but only 67 likes. Not good, guys. Like right now. Thanks, Vicky. But it does actually help if you guys hit that like button. It's okay if you already did or didn't, whatever. It doesn't matter. But it does help me. If you want to help me, hit that like button and subscribe. So Steven and Ashley says, MSI is so overpriced this generation. I think that is going to be true for their ultra high end, like the GE78 and the GT77, but the like mid and lower range is going to be very reasonable. Like the MSI Pulse 15, let me show you that. So the Pulse 15, we pop over to live, so it don't mess with anything. So if you search, you can search by model. So here's the Pulse. It's gonna, for $1649, you're gonna be able to get a RTX 4070. I believe that's the full HD 144 hertz, but for I think $1499, you can get a 4060 with QHD 240 hertz. So I don't know. That's probably the one I would go with. But the Pulse is basically going to be a 140 watt mid-range laptop, and it's going to weigh right around 5 pounds. It's going to be like an inch thick. It's going to hit the full TDPs, and the thermal design looks really good based on the heat pipes. And I think this is going to be one of the very best bang for the buck laptops, at least here at launch. We'll have to see if it's the best, but MSI is pricing some of their machines very reasonably, but just not their high end. I'm curious. I think their high end will come down in price. Got to give it a little time. They definitely made their high end very specialized and high performance. So, okay, so Watch Dogs Legion just finished downloading. We should be able to try launching it again. Talon says, "Wow, still alive." Talon's text says, "My biggest issue with MSI is the lack of variable refresh rate G-Sync FreeSync support on the internal display. That's unacceptable for a high-end laptop in 2023." So I agree with you, but at the same time, I'm like, is it that big a deal? If you're hitting the high refresh rates, like if you're hitting 144 hertz on that 4K display using DLSS and frame generation, I don't think you'd even notice the difference between G-Sync being on there or not. But if you're only hitting 45 FPS with occasional stutters and dips, that's where G-Sync makes a humongous difference. Even 60 FPS, G-Sync makes a noticeable difference. So it really depends on what resolution, frame rate, game you're playing. If you're trying to play without DLSS and you're trying to play without frame generation, then the lack of G-Sync, I think, is a bigger deal. The lack of Advanced Optimus does kind of suck, but remember at 4K, Advanced Optimus makes, regular Optimus doesn't make a huge difference in terms of raw performance with higher resolution. So that's the biggest thing you got to keep in mind about Advanced Optimus. Okay, so I'm not sure if I said that very well, but basically at a 4K resolution, regular Optimus, it's like probably like only a 2 or 3% performance difference going through the internal GPU, which is not going to be very noticeable unless you're doing benchmarks. So you can still switch it with a mux switch, which requires a restart, which no one likes. But yeah, I still agree with you. You're spending if you're spending $5,300 on the highest end GT77, it should have Advanced Optimus and G-Sync. But I don't think it's as big a deal as you're making it out to be. That's, I guess, my response to that. I agree with you and disagree at the same time. It's kind of different. It's kind of interesting. Whatever. Okay, I'm done talking. All right, moving on. All right, so we're going to go everything on Ultra. Resolution, texturing, everything's on Ultra. Where? There we go. Okay. So right now we have ray tracing and DLSS disabled. This is just going to be raw, fresh, no upscaling, no ray tracing. What are we going to get? Let's find out first, then we'll try putting on some DLSS on quality. What are my thoughts regarding the Helios 18? The Helios 18 is going to have the best display in the 18-inch category. It's going to have probably one of the best pricing in the 18-inch category. But I think the Helios 18 is going to have one of the lower quality thermal solutions out of the top end, the high end. It's going to compete in that high end. But the GPU only goes to 165 watts. And the CPU is probably not going to go as high as the thermal limit as like the G18, for example, as well. It's probably going to be limited a lot more for its performance. So I think the Helios 18 is going to be one of those like bang for the buck laptops that a lot of people will buy because it's going to be a few $100s less than the competition. But it's not going to be a laptop designed for the super enthusiast that wants the max FPS, the max TDPs on the CPU, on the GPU, and all of that. It's a shame we don't have our CPU performance line anymore. I guess we need to open HW info. Can't they up the wattage with the firmware release? So just some dude, the Predator Helios 18 just doesn't have a good enough thermal design. That's my take on it. Like the thermal design of the Helios 18 is just not going to be good enough to be able to up the wattage much higher. It's going to be more of a mid-range TDP to it. Because, yeah. Okay, so max frame rate was 137. Average was 91. Our 1% low was 69. We used 5.3 gigs of the VRAM. And there you go. So average is 91. Let's slap on DLSS quality. I also want to open HW info just so that that's going. So we have our CPU information. McDonald says, should I buy the Helios 300 12700H RTX 3060 for $1,300 USD in my region? I don't know what your region is, but I can tell you that I bought that same laptop for $999 on Black Friday. So I'm not saying you can get the same deal in your region. I don't know what region you're in, so. All right, DLSS is on quality, and ray tracing is going to be on. Well, if we want this, if we want to fairly compare, we need DLSS to be enabled too. But we'll do ray trace reflections on Ultra. We'll do both. So DLSS quality, ray tracing on Ultra. Painkiller says, I'm about to get the Helios 500 4K 120Hz 3080 i9 11th gen. Should I buy? It depends on your price, Painkiller, because that's what it's all about. It's all about value versus the price of what you're paying for. Right. Okay. So you guys missed some of those numbers probably. Thank you, AST, for letting me know that the camera was off angle a little bit. Probably got off angle when I changed the battery on it. Yeah, Manifest Station. I should try turning off DLSS again, just so we have a ray tracing on, and all we're adding is DLSS. So we have a DLSS on-off, fair comparison. .3070 Ti got 60 FPS average on the GE78X with what? What is what in raw performance? So everything's on Ultra and QHD 16:10 or 16:9. You know, how are my temps so low? I have max fans enabled right now. So max frame rate was 102. Average FPS was 77. The other thing I'll mention about Watch Dogs Legion is that, especially at QHD, you might end up with some CPU bottlenecking occurring. So 77 FPS. Very nice. 16:9. Gotcha. Yeah, so that you got to remember that the change in resolution is actually pretty significant. It's, I think, at least 10% more pixels switching from 16:9 to 16:10. All right, so we're going to go with DLSS off, and we're going to go Ultra. All right. So DLSS is off. Ray tracing is on. Let's find out. How high can you push the GDDR6? I don't know, Stephen Onashi. I believe in the Asus Armory Crate. You can overclock the RAM, the VRAM by like 300 or something out of the box, but I'm sure in Afterburner you could go higher probably. AS86 XMG regular DDR5 can go up to 6400, but that's regular RAM. What he was talking about was the VRAM, because that's the GDDR6, and that's the RAM for the graphics card. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, it's easy to mistake the VRAM for the DDR RAM. And Manifestation of Jason, I would say you should probably try retesting it again to in case there's been any updates or changes to the software. If you want to have the most comparable number, retesting it now would be good. So average FPS with ray tracing enabled, no DLSS, we got 53 at 16 by 10 QHD. But I wouldn't say Watchdog Legion is a good example of performance at just because it does tend to be CPU bottlenecked potentially, So all right. So let me see. How long has the live stream been going? I've been wanting to do about 3 hours. Did I get 3 hours? 2 hours and 53 minutes. Chat, do you have any questions? Let's wrap this up. So my camera is probably overheating. That's what probably caused it to go out there. So talk to me. What questions do you guys have before we end the live stream on the benchmarks we did today? Overall, my impression of the benchmarks, fantastic. I mean, it's hard to complain about the level of performance we're seeing. It's meeting / exceeding expectations for the second best GPU of the year. I think it's hard to be disappointed with the new graphics cards, I guess, is the way I would say it. And Asus's design and implementations on the Strix G18 has been fantastic. It's been really, really great. Manifestation of Jason says, yeah, the performance was very impressive. Am I getting a SCAR 16? Yes, I've ordered it. I don't know if it's been shipped yet. I need to follow up on that order. Is the G18 the best price to performance? Stephen Onassia, we don't know officially for sure if it's the best price to performance, but it's probably out of the new RTX 4000 series. That's what I would argue right now based on all of the reviews that I've read / watched. I've watched / read probably about 12 different reviews now on different laptops. And the numbers I'm seeing on the G18 are the best out of all of the laptops for the money so far. And that's a very crucial thing because that's to me what buying a laptop is largely about. Does it fit your general needs? And then after you know that it fits your general needs, does it have the best price to performance versus the competition? If it does, that's a great buy. So will you be testing the GE78? Yes, that is my goal. I have ordered a GE78 from Amazon. I'm not sure when that's coming in, but it was supposed to ship yesterday. So hopefully it comes in the next day or two. Yeah. Cool. Exim says, how portable does the machine feel and is the power brick warm? So I'm sure the power brick is warm. Yes, the power brick is very warm. I can touch it and keep my hand on it though, not that hot. But the machine is going to be portable if you don't mind hauling a big laptop in a backpack. Like I hauled around a very heavy Alienware M51. I've hauled around a giant Clevo laptop that was 13 pounds before. Same for a GT77 laptop that was enormous. You just need to get a big backpack and be willing to haul it around with you. And that was even when I was like in college for part of that time, hauling those giant laptops because I just want the most performance, and I've always wanted that, at least close to the most performance, if not the most performance. I need to be like at least in the 90th percentile of performance for me to be happy with the laptop. So. Is it still not possible to buy an ROG G16? Not that I am aware of. As soon as I have a place where you can order the Strix G16, I will put that on the list, the laptop list. So be sure to check that out regularly and follow that list if you don't want to miss out. Is the 12 gig VRAM a bottleneck for 4K or on the 480? I haven't done any 4K benchmarking yet with the Strix G18. Maybe we'll do a whole nother stream session with the a 4K. I have a 4K projector on the wall behind me, so that's what I'm thinking of doing my benchmarks on. It'd be cool. I'll be able to point the camera up at the wall and be able to watch the benchmarks that way. But yeah, that's currently. I don't know that we'll run into bottlenecks in the VRAM. I imagine we might in some games, but it'll probably be pretty rare, I think, especially if you use DLSS to upscale. Because if you use DLSS to upscale, it doesn't need to use as much VRAM, I believe. Is Newegg the only place to buy the G18 4090? Well, there is no G18 4090. The G18 maxes out at the 4080. You have to go to the Scar 18 if you want to get a 4090. And I believe right now, I haven't checked the list. Let me check the list. So if we go over here to the list, we go to the Scar 18. It's currently out of stock. And yeah, Newegg is the only one that I know of, or at least that I have affiliates with for buying it. So not sure if there's other retailers that might have it. Like, I don't think Micro Center has it. I don't think there might be maybe listings on Amazon. I'm not sure. I've got a couple guys working for me, scouring the websites, looking for links, and we'll keep adding more links and places to buy these laptops. Especially right now, early on, we're going to keep looking every day for new listings and adding them. We added a bunch of new listings today, and we updated the sheet. So definitely worth checking it out and following the sheet if you haven't followed it. To follow it, you just go to the sheet and click the little follow button right there. And you just put your email in and create an account, and you'll get email notifications for when I update the sheet. So anyway, okay. Vitamin says there is a link for the Scar 18 on Amazon. We'll try to get that added. All right. Whew. In less than a year, this laptop is faster than a 12900K 3090 Ti desktop. Crazy good. That is so true. And that laptop a year ago would be like $4,000 too. So very crazy. I'm probably going to get the Alienware just because of the 4 NVMe slots. That's not a bad choice, especially if you want lots of storage. Nice. So that's it for the live stream, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in. More benchmarks coming tomorrow, or maybe the Alienware M16 live unboxing. I haven't decided. Let me know in the comments down below which one you'd rather see. Alienware M16 and live boxing with initial testing, or continuing more benchmarks for the Strix G18. I've still got like at least 10 more games we can test on the Strix G18. So anyway, peace. Woo.